Hey everybody, we're back again for another offseason recap video, and today we're going to be looking at the Detroit Red Wings in the offseason that they've had so far. Obviously, last year Detroit was one of the worst teams in recent memory in NHL history. They're still a rebuilding team, but they're slowly but surely starting to get the pieces in place for them to be a contender again long term. But it's certainly going to be a little bit of time before we see them back in a playoff position or anything like that. But Steve Yzerman's there at the helm as the general manager, and I certainly think that he's going to get the job done. It's just about patience and developing young talent with Detroit. So before we get into it, I just ask you please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button if you haven't yet. Both of those things help out so much and are greatly, greatly appreciated. But let's get into it here. Looking at what the Red Wings have done so far, when we look on the addition side of things, they brought in goaltender Thomas Greiss from the New York Islanders in free agency to go along with Jonathan Bernier. Obviously, a huge upgrade over Jimmy Howard there. So that's a nice move. Bobby Ryan comes in on a one-year deal from the Ottawa Senators after being bought out by them. Really, really good move there for the Red Wings, in my opinion, and I'll talk about that a little more later. Vlad Nemesnikov comes in. He's a guy who's kind of bounced around a little bit, never has really found a long-term home, but I think he's going to get a shot with the Red Wings to play a little bit higher in the lineup than he would on most other teams, and this is a chance for Nemesnikov to really kind of solidify himself as an NHL player. Troy Stecher comes in on the back end from Vancouver. John Merrill comes in as a defenseman from Vegas. And they traded for Mark Stahl from the New York Rangers. It was a cap dump move for the Rangers. They also got a draft pick out of it. But Stahl comes in as kind of a veteran depth defenseman and a good leader in the locker room. Subtractions, Jimmy Howard is gone in goal. He was absolutely abysmal last season. So obviously he was not brought back. Bernier really took the reins last year. Justin Abdelkader was bought out for the rest of his contract, and he is no longer with the Wings. Brendan Perlini was not re-signed. He's really, really struggled and, drafted by Arizona, then went to Chicago, then went to Detroit. Hasn't really been able to stick anywhere, so not looking great for Perlini there. Trevor Daley retired. Longtime NHL defenseman, and Jonathan Ericsson was also not brought back, as obviously he's been around the league and the Red Wings for a long, long time, but his time in the NHL had certainly run out. So we look at these moves here for the Red Wings, and I think they've had a really, really good offseason for a rebuilding team. They've obviously gotten some contracts off the books with like Daly and Abdelkader's buyout and Eriksson gone and Howard's gone now. So they've gotten some veteran, contracts off the books, and they have a lot more guys that over the next year or two will also be coming off of the books. And a lot of these, bad contracts that Ken Holland signed will be coming off soon. And won't be hindering the Red Wings going forward after the next couple of seasons. And as far as their additions, the Red Wings know that they're not going to win now. Yzerman is smart enough to know that they're not going to win now. Rebuilding is a process, and it's about developing young players. They also drafted Lucas Raymond 4th overall. I didn't have him on the list because I don't think he's going to play in the NHL this season, so he's not really an addition to the NHL team for this year. He's going to play in Sweden for another year, I believe, and just they're going to leave him over there and let him continue to develop. And then he'll probably come in for the 2021-22 season and play in a top 6 role on the NHL team. But it's about developing young talent when you're rebuilding, and it's about, just kind of putting good veteran pieces around those young guys that are going to help them reach their fullest potential. And obviously, they've got Dylan Larkin, they've got Anthony Mantha, they've got Tyler Bertuzzi. Those are kind of the forwards that they're building around. They've got Philip Hronek and Moritz Seider on the back end, who I think are kind of the future of that defense. They've got 2 veteran goalies in goal, but Bernier had a very good season last year, and I think he's not a long-term solution in net, but he can hold down the fort while they're waiting for that next young goalie to come up, or whatever they're going to do as far as a long-term solution in net. And then they bring in Thomas Greiss, who, I mean, has been phenomenal with the Islanders over the last few seasons, kind of as a 1B type guy. And, that's a really solid veteran goaltending duo. It's not the best in the league, but it's certainly not the worst in the league. And I think they're going to be able to kind of hold down the fort there and be pretty solid in goal with two veteran guys. And, they've brought in some really good guys for leadership. And that I'm thinking mostly of Mark Stahl and Bobby Ryan. I mean, that trade for Mark Stahl was mostly for the draft pick. That wasn't for Mark Stahl. That was for the draft pick. Stahl's probably a number 6-7 defenseman at this point in his career. But he's a really good veteran. He's a consummate pro. And he's, a guy that no one really ever has said a bad thing about Mark Stahl. He just comes in, goes to work, does what the team needs him to do, and is a really good leader for the young guys to look up to on how to be a pro in the NHL. And that's a great thing to have. When you have a young rebuilding team, you need quality character veterans in that locker room. Those are the guys who are going to teach the young players not how to be better players necessarily, but how to be professionals and how to be real pros at the NHL level from a character standpoint. And Mark Stahl's a great guy to have in that locker room. Sam Gagner is a great guy to have in that locker room, who they brought in last season. And Bobby Ryan. Bobby Ryan, we all know his story now. It's been talked about so much, everything that he's gone through. He won the Masterton Trophy last year. What a move by Steve Yzerman to bring him in and let these young guys learn from a guy like that who's been through so much and has come out of it on the other side a better person and a better, just overall man. And that is an incredible person to have in a locker room full of so many young players like the Detroit Red Wings have. And these young prospects and up-and-coming NHLers are going to learn so much from a guy like Bobby Ryan on just, how to overcome adversity, how to overcome odds, how to be a better person, and make sure that, they don't make the same mistakes that Bobby Ryan made, and that they can overcome things happening to them and come out better for it on the other side. And I just love these moves that the Red Wings have made. Nemesnikov is kind of a shot in the dark, but there's no risk there. The Red Wings have no expectations. The Red Wings have no, thoughts of, we actually are going to win this season. They know that they're not. They're giving a guy like Nemesnikov a chance, and he can come out and maybe put up big numbers and earn himself a better contract, or maybe a multi-year contract for next season. That would be, they're giving him an opportunity. And if it doesn't go well, who cares? They're not going to be a winning team anyway, and they just let him go at the end of the season. It's a no-risk move. Steve Yzerman is such a good general manager. He is going to get the Red Wings back to being a contending team. It's just going to take time. He's smart enough to know that you don't do a full rebuild overnight. That's not how it works. They need to focus on still adding in prospects, making sure that they have good veterans on the roster to teach the young players, and just keep acquiring assets, prospects and picks, and build up that young base for 3, 4, 5 years down the road from now, when this team could potentially have grown into a contending team. And Yzerman built the Tampa Bay Lightning into what they are right now. And I think he can do the exact same thing over the course of a few years with the Detroit Red Wings. It's not going to happen in 1 or 2 seasons, but over the course of 4 or 5 years, I think Yzerman can build the Red Wings into what the Lightning have become in the NHL. And he's done it before, and I think he can do it again. Yzerman's a tremendous general manager, and I think he's showing that already in Detroit. While making these moves for picks, while, acquiring draft picks, while acquiring prospects, drafting well. A guy like Lucas Raymond is going to be a fantastic addition to this team. He's also putting the right veterans in place as kind of roster spot fillers for right now that are going to help the team. And the Red Wings finished dead last season by a lot. I don't see that happening again this year. The Detroit Red Wings are a better team this season than they were last year. There is no doubt about that. They may finish last again. If they do, I don't think it's going to be nearly as wide of a margin as they would as they did last season. And honestly, I don't see them finishing dead last again this year. I think the Red Wings are not going to be dead last in the NHL this season. I think they're good enough to they're still going to be in the bottom five, no doubt, but I think they're good enough to maybe move up to second, third, or fourth to last rather than dead last in the league. I just think they've gotten so much better in goal with Howard gone. And I think they've improved their defense with Stahl, who's sure a number 7 guy at this point, but it's better depth and better on the back end than what they had with guys like Erickson and Daly and Madison Bowie and guys who really had run their course in the NHL. Stetcher's certainly an upgrade to that back end. He could play as high as a number 4 position in the lineup. Merrill's a solid number 6, 7 bottom pair type guy. He'll probably play a regular shift. He'll probably be 5, 6 on that Red Wings team. I just think they've improved. They're a better team this year. They're young guys. A guy like Zadina has had another year of development. I'd like to see him play a bigger role at the NHL level. This is just a team that is getting better. And while certainly they're not good yet, they're certainly not a playoff team yet, they're not going to be nearly as bad as they were last season. And I think the Red Wings really have a shot not to finish last this year. And I think down the road, Stevie Y is going to get this team back into being a playoff contender and eventually maybe even a Stanley Cup contender, because I think he's a tremendous, tremendous general manager. But that's what I've got on the Detroit Red Wings. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, and donation link are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.